You know, it's interesting, most of these acquisitions you've gone into all by yourself. Is that a strategic move on your part, or are you open to partnering with someone to share some of the risks?
I am open, Christian, and I always like strong strategic partners. But somehow in my life, in my little young life, I find my partners quit halfway. And just when we could take advantage together at bad times, they want to sell. And they give me problems. At the time when I need to go and buy some, my partner wants to sell their block, half their shares to me, which weakens me. So I realized that we have to do this alone, not because we want to do it alone. We found there are very few people with very long-term models. Okay, Christine, what I'm trying to say is we've never sold a single asset what we've bought. For example, like what you mentioned in Kuala Lumpur. When I bought those assets in Lot 10 and Star Hill, it was worth 200 ringgit a square feet. Today it's worth 2,000. And I don't sell, so I work hard at it with my team, and we keep working hard at it and add value. I find very few people like to keep and do that. They like to buy something, buy, polish, sell. And we are not like that. So I believe long-term in these assets that we bought, like Star Hill Global, like Orchard. I want to invest more, not less.
Not all the assets you bought were profitable. For instance, when you bought into Perak Hanjong Cement, it was losing 170 million ringgit. What's your secret to turning these loss-making companies around?
Yes, so that is, we are engineering. We are engineering-based company. That's our forte. And when we look at a project, we have like X-ray eyes. When we visit a factory, we know. We smell and breathe cement, you know, so we know this business inside out. And we know what's right or wrong about it, how to fix it mechanically and all that. And we look at all the other issues as well. So we turned that around within 1 year from 170 million loss into a 100 million profit. The secret is to be able to do something of the assets that we bought, like Lot 10 and Star Hill. The ability to get good ideas with a good bunch of intellectual assets that know how to do it.
How exactly do you extract good values from your investments? I mean, typically what sort of return on investments do you look at to make your investments worthwhile?
Okay, when we talk about the minimum IRRs, we're talking 15%, 20% ballpark. Well, minimum 15% if you're a passive investor, and then 20% if you can value add. So we would choose businesses and put priority in that area. But mostly, Christine, it is about long-term sustainable model. When we, for example, the cement plants that we buy in Asia or even in China, we don't pay more than $50 US. But people are willing to pay. Fund managers, hedge funds, all the bank groups are willing to pay up to $150 US per ton for enterprise value. I always ask, what's there left for the shareholders? If you pay this price and you float a company at $150 US, what is there left for the shareholders? But if I buy it at $50, I got $100 upside where I can work on it. Then that means the shareholders gain $100 US enterprise value with me. And that's how they've learned. When I buy something, you know, the chances of YTL being able to value add a lot of profits and sales on it are very high. That's why they follow me. And they have been very well rewarded.
Don't go away after the break. We asked Francis Yeoh from YTL whether he plans to revive the idea of building a fast train between Singapore and Malaysia. Managing Asia, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Managing Asia. My guest today is Francis Yeoh, Managing Director of YTL, a Malaysian conglomerate with interests in construction, power and property. The business tycoon is known for buying into distressed assets and turning them around. For years, Tan Sri, you've been trying to get approval to build a fast train connecting Singapore and Malaysia, cutting down travelling time from 7 hours to 90 minutes. Those plans were shelved because of politics in Malaysia last year. Have you given up on the idea totally now?
I never give up on a good idea. I also wear the hat of a citizen, and I also wear the hat of a father of my children, and I'm going to be a grandfather one day. I think this is an important project. I've said it loud and clear. Even if YTL doesn't do it, you should do this train project, because it's common sense. If you look at the lessons we've learned from Paris, the Paris-London train, the property differential was 24%, and within 5 years it converged to almost zero. The Parisian properties went up to London's property just by one connection of a train. There is a differentiation about 600-700% property prices difference between KL and Singapore. Can you imagine how many 100 billion or a trillion the wealth of KL would be just by having a train?
So why is it taking so long?
I think it's the politics of it. I think people sometimes needs to chew about it, and then traditionally Singapore and KL didn't have the smoothest of relationship. But I think through time, with Najib's leadership, Najib, as you can see, is a man that is very brave, very courageous. In his little short period of his leadership, the country has found his confidence and his feet again, live up to his full potential.
Are you close to the political establishment in Malaysia, close enough to lobby for the project?
No, I think, Christine, that's again something thing I want to make clear about lobbying for projects on the political system. Asian mentality thinks that that's the way it's done. I want to categorically tell you I did not lobby for Wessex Water when I won it. I did not lobby the Australian Prime Minister to get Electronet in South Australia. I did not lobby for the Prime Minister in Singapore to get Soraya. Why do I need to lobby the politicians in Malaysia? It's not about that. It's about a dynamic of a project. And I think what government should do is to put this to a bid. Call international people to bid this project. May the best wins, for example. I rather like that model. So this lobbying thing smells of skullduggery and cloak and dagger. And I just like to say that this is not YTL's way. It's not about that. It is about country understanding. I think this is a good project. Let's call the best people in this business, and do it transparently. We don't mind that kind of...
The train project under your proposal is estimated to cost $2.6 billion US.
Yeah.
How will you fund the project? What will your financial model look like?
We've always believed it must be a private sector, government funded, always, this kind of project. Actually, there's a difference between the train and the tunnel and the infrastructure. So that's why, to a certain extent, if you do on a train alone, you'll be profitable. But if you do the whole infrastructure as a package, you won't be. So the government has to to make it accessible as a project for the people. One of the things that why I advocate that YTL can be a good proponent of this is that I can almost guarantee I'm building it at a fifth of the world's cost, as I did in the train from the airport to the city. I look at the Taiwan train, it is so expensive. I look at the Hong Kong train that's just announced, it is 5 times the price that I said we could do. And I'm still not changing my mind. Fine, put it to an international tender, right? Let the world come and bid for it, right? I'm just expressing that I'm a good infrastructure player. I thought that this is a good opportunity because of my competitiveness, not because of my political lobby.
It sounds like you like a challenge when it comes to doing business. Do you always take on projects? Do you like taking on projects that are highly controversial?
I don't wish these challenges. Sometimes, like I say, sometimes I'm like suffering from the curse of Sisyphus, Roll a stone up in the evening, and then in the morning it comes down again, and you roll it up, and you roll it up. It's like a curse. But I'm glad after so many years in YTL, some stones are staying up in the country as well. Things are beginning to work. Under the leadership of the Prime Minister Najib, I'm very confident. We are investing a lot of money back on YMAX in the country.
You often compare yourself to Warren Buffett. Do you want to be the Warren Buffett here in Asia?
I compare with Warren Buffett in the sense that I love him. I love the fact that Warren Buffett is a long-term investor. I just want to highlight Warren Buffett's model is that when he buys a Coca-Cola, he grooms them, he value adds, and when economic cycles keep imploding, he buys more. He's a very good investor, and he's rewarded. I'm just saying, these guys like Warren Buffett should be rewarded more. And in Asia, if people do that, you should reward them too, instead of wanting these short-term cycles, right? We bought the Wessex Water from whom? From Enron.